Hi everybody, this is Lisa from thestampinggirl.com. Today we are going to make a beautiful watercolor burst card. I mean, is this not gorgeous? This is stunning. I'm so excited about this project today. But instead of using the powder pink and the berry burst ink that I have on this one, we are going to use the Island Indigo and Bermuda Bay inks from Stampin Up. This is probably my absolute favorite color combination. It's gorgeous and I cannot wait to show you the end result. So let's get started. To begin, you're going to need a piece of our watercolor paper. This is cut 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches. I really suggest you use watercolor paper. It's meant to hold the water a lot better than regular cardstock. And it also prevents it from bending a lot like you would get with regular cardstock. You will also need your watercolor stamp pad, the Versamark. Of course, this lets you do some embossing and work with glitter and everything. We are going to be doing some embossing, which is very exciting. And today's stamp set is the Happy Wishes stamp set from Stampin Up. This is a celebration item. So excited about celebration. When you spend $120 in my online store, you get to choose an item for free. So you could get this 16-piece stamp set for free when you spend $120. Look at this beautiful writing, and then of course you got the cursive words. It's good for birthday, friendship cards, any cards really. It's a really gorgeous set, so I'm so excited to use it today. So we are going to be using the Happy stamp from the Happy Wishes stamp set, as well as the birthday stamp. Now I have the Happy stamp already on my F block, and so you can go ahead and use your Versamark and ink that right up. Be generous with this. Make sure it's nice and wet. You want to make sure you have complete coverage because we are going to be using emboss powder, so you want to make sure that there are no sort of like missed spots or anything. So you're going to stamp, before you actually stamp this, I want you to take your embossing buddy. Just rub it over the watercolor paper. This helps get rid of any static so the embossing powder, the excess embossing powder doesn't stick to it. Okay, so you can go ahead and stamp your Happy on the card. It's sort of going to be just above the center. There we go. Press down firm with this. You want to make sure that there are no gaps in the stamp with the Versamark, so I like to be a little bit more firm with this when I'm using it. And if you sort of, you might not be able to see it, but you could sort of see the stamp when you use the light. You can see the shine from the stamp. I have my birthday stamp ready to go as well, and you can stamp that up and just look to see where you stamped, and that will determine where you're going to place it because you want it just under the Happy. You can go ahead and stamp that. Okay, then you're going to need some black embossing powder. And I have my trusty little pink tray that I like to use for that. And just put the embossing powder right over where you stamped. I like to be generous with it. Make sure we have good coverage. And then just do that. You might have missed it. Just go over the spots that you might have missed. Then you can see we have coverage. If you see that you have some embossing powder still around on the paper that you don't really want, just go ahead and use your embossing buddy just to get rid of any of the excess. But be careful that you don't accidentally take off any of the words that you need. Just do that. A little bit more up here. There you go. So we're going to go ahead and use our heat tool to emboss this. You watch the magic happen. Is that not gorgeous? I just love using embossing powder. And even though there are some specks, I think it just adds to the charm, especially for this stamp, because you've got some little grainy parts of the stamp. It's just so stunning. But now comes the even better part, which is where we bring in the watercolor. When I use watercolor, I also like to use our grid sheet from Stampin Up. I always like to have something underneath because sometimes when you do watercolor it can get messy. But before we start that, I like to tape down the sheet with some washi tape. And I use washi tape because when you use masking tape or other tape, it just tends to tear the paper that you're working on. And I find that when you use washi tape, it doesn't do that. And this is just washi tape that I don't use a lot, or that's old. That's the type of washi tape that I do. So I don't feel like I'm wasting it because I am still creating with it. So for your watercolor, you're going to need an Aqua Painter. This is an awesome tool. You can use it with your inks, you can use it with your Stampin' Right markers, and you can use it, of course, with the watercolor pencils, which is also an awesome tool to have. So I am going to use the Island Indigo, as I said before, and their Bermuda Bay. Before you open it, you're going to want to just give it a press in the center, because you want to make sure that you get some ink in the top. So I'm going to make sure I get that nice lot of coverage in there. That should be good. And I will do the same with the Bermuda Bay. Just going to squeeze it. You're not going to damage your ink pads by doing this. It's just going to put some ink on the inside of, on the bottom of the pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the outer layers in the Bermuda Bay, and then I will use Island Indigo for the center part. But before you even begin to do that, make sure that you have, I like to make sure that my Aqua Painter is full, and I like to make sure that I have a paper towel handy for any excess water. Now before you take the ink, you're going to actually wet the paper, and you're going to be a little bit generous with the water, because when you bring in the ink, you want it to sort of follow the pattern of the water. So you can just make sure that the tip is nice and wet, and then you could just start adding water sort of any which way. There's no right or wrong. You just got to think of where you want the color to go. As you can see, I'm not being too precise about things, just making sure that there's water. Okay, and then I am going to dab that a little bit, and I'm going to grab my first color, and as you can see, it's kind of bursting out and following the pattern of the water that I just placed down. And it just creates this nice, stunning effect. It's like already it's looking so gorgeous. Okay, and I'm gonna wipe the end of the Aqua Painter until it's clean, and then I'm going to bring in the Island Indigo. Then I'm going to bring in the Island Indigo into the middle part. Okay. And then I'm going to wipe my end clean again. And then I'm going to go back to the Bermuda Bay and do the other side. And then you have that. Is that not gorgeous? It's so pretty. All right, that's all we're gonna do for the watercolor. So just clean your ends. You can put that aside. You can use the paper towel to wipe the inside of your ink pads. Now after that, you can choose to let it dry on its own, or if you see that there's excess water, just dab it a little bit. Or you can choose to use your heat tool at the low setting and just dry it a little bit. And once it's dry, you can go ahead and remove the washi tape. You still want to do it slowly, just in case. As you can tell, it comes off super easy. And it doesn't rip the paper, but you still want to be very careful. Now look at that. Is that not so pretty? Oh my gosh, guys. I'm just so excited. So to finish off the card, it's super quick. You're just going to need a piece of basic black cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5, and you're just going to go ahead and fold that in half. You can grab your bone folder just to make sure the fold is nice and crisp. And then you're going to adhere the watercolor paper right to the basic black cardstock. Because this is a little bit thicker and it was wet, I am going to use my Tombow multi-purpose glue. You can go ahead and use fast fuse if you have it as well, but I find if you have the snail adhesive, it won't work as well as the fast fuse or the glue. Just want to make sure that you get good coverage. Okay. Okay. Just going to center that as much as possible. Smooth it out. If you're using the Tombow glue, you're going to just press a little bit, make sure that it stays. And to finish it off, I have some sequins here. They do have a little bit of pink shine to them, but I think that's okay. I'm going to go use my paper piercing tool with the glue dots. The glue dots are the perfect size to put are the perfect size for the sequins, and you can use any color sequins that you want, black or just white, but I think this adds a nice effect to it with the pink shimmer. The paper piercing tool makes it super easy to apply these sequins. I'm only going to put 3 on. And there's your completed card. How beautiful is that? And there you go. Super beautiful card. It is stunning. as I said, the Bermuda Bay and Island Indigo ink look amazing together. Thank you so much for joining me today as we created the Water Burst card. Gorgeous cards. Gorgeous cards. And again, thank you so much for joining me. If you did like today's tutorial, be sure to give this video a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!